75,000 voters made the difference in 2016. 40,000 made the difference in 2020. What is it that's going to get those people? I get the 95%, right? You walk down the street, working men and women are like, finally, a champion for us, a fighter, somebody who's actually speaking. But that seems to get us to 48, 49%. What's going to get us to 50.1?
That they think he's going to be a significantly better president than Kamala Harris. And why is he going to be better than Kamala Harris? Because first of all, she's a California radical. She is extreme. She's literally,
I know.
Remember how she ran away from being the border czar? Well, you know what? You know what Donald Trump's advantage is on the issue of immigration? Again, not my poll. This is the CBS poll. He's got a 52-point advantage over her, 76-24 on the issue of immigration. That's why she ran away from it. And they know she's an extremist. And also, it's her failures. It's her failures on those kinds of issues. And it's amazing. Not only don't the people around her have confidence in her, but clearly they're trying to run away from her record and they're trying to run away from Joe Biden's record. And we get it. We know it's going to be hard. We always knew that this race was going to be hard. I was a month ago. I was, talking to my good friend Mark Halperin on, Newsmax, and I was saying I wasn't sure if Joe Biden was going to be their nominee, and obviously they swapped him out right after that.
Pushed.
and pushed, stabbed him in the back, whatever you want to. And that's the other thing. What are they doing today? They're basically having him Monday, which is the least watched night of the convention, and then they're sending him off to California on vacation.
It is so embarrassing what they're doing to this guy.
If we let him run away, if we let Kamala Harris run away from the failures of the Biden administration, shame on us. And look, most voters right now, what are they doing? They're getting their kids back to school. They're going out, they're working. They might have been on vacation. They're going to start paying attention to this race after Labor Day. And the more the voters start paying attention to this race, the better off it's going to be for all of us. And one of the things,
the more informed voter, the better for us.
Exactly. And the more we focus on issues, we all know that the better off it's going to be. And look, they're trying to run on saying, look, she's caused all these problems, and they're trying to run on saying she's the agent of change. She's not the agent of change. And you know what? As bad as Joe Biden is as president, she's going to be even worse. Why is she going to be worse? Because she's even more radical than he is.
So I sent this tweet out, I think it was Friday. She's talking about all these things that she's going to do day one. And I was just like, you do remember, I tweeted back at her and I said, hey, remember at Kamala Harris, like, you're the vice president right now. You can do all this stuff. And some knucklehead, sends back and says, name me a vice president that has this kind of, authority. And I'm like, wait a second. You can't have it both ways. You can't claim that you're that you're a partner to the president, but then run away from all of the policies and the current results. It's amazing. They want all the credit when it suits them, and none of the blame when, it's theirs. It's amazing to me. I've never seen a campaign get away with the crap that they get away with.
And you know what? One of the things I was just looking at before this was Michael Smerconish, who, has some independence to him, is on CNN. He just supposedly went off about her lack of being available and being accessible to the news media. And look, it's like I always say, unfortunately, the mainstream media has become nothing more than a left-wing blog, and they're a bunch of political activists. We need to get this presidential race back to being about the two P's, peace and prosperity. Because your point, Sean, that you just made, look, she was trying to tell us she was the border czar. She's basically never been to the border. I know she went there once, and, she went about 50 miles away. She went to
But I haven't been to Europe.
Yeah, exactly. Which is bizarre. And look, you're going to be the border czar, and we have people telling us, oh, well, there's not that many illegals coming into the country now and all this other kind of stuff. Look, we don't even know how many illegals have gotten into this country. What we do know is been about 100 terrorists that have actually gotten across the border. And who knows what else? When you've got anywhere from 30 to 50,000 folks have come in from communist China. And Sean, as you well know, and your watchers know, you don't get in and out of communist China unless Xi Jinping says it's okay for you
Yes.
to get in and
Yeah.
out of China. So some really bad things have happened here. And I think the American people understand that, and they know that Donald Trump can fix it. And as long as this election is about those two P's of peace and prosperity, we're going to be able to get Donald Trump back in the White House here.
I agree. And that's the key though. That's the thing is it's how do we stay focused on that?
Yeah.
The people who are going to decide this election, and I'm like, I have this conversation with folks all the time. The people that are with us are already with us.
Yep.
You can only vote. You can only vote once in most states.
But I will tell you this. One of the great things, whether it was 2016 when we won or 2020 when we made it really, really close, what did Donald Trump do well? He closed really well
Yeah,
in
I
both
know. He
elections.
is a closer. You're right.
Remember, the folks at the New York Times were telling us there was a 90% something chance that Hillary Clinton was going to win. What happened? And they were all telling us it was going to be a blowout in 2020. We all know what happened. And that's one of the advantages that Donald Trump has. Sean, every day he talks to people. He listens. He's a much better listener than people give him credit for. And he talks to normal people. And what he's going to do is he's going to be able to figure out what the American people are looking for. It was back in 2016. He got attacked because he was making immigration an issue. And then you look at what happened in 2020. You know what? Two of the biggest issues right now on voters' minds. And if you look at that, CBS poll, 96% say inflation is an issue that matters to them. 97% say immigration is an issue that matters to them. If you look at the 2020 exit polls, by the way, they didn't ask about immigration or inflation in the exit polls. Why? Because Donald Trump had solved those problems.
Right.
And I hear it.
Oh, interesting.
I hear it in focus groups all the time where the swing voters will tell us, hey, you know what? Donald Trump fixed the immigration problem, and he did it without the help of the politicians. The voters volunteer that to us. So he's got real advantages on those issues, especially in the battleground states, especially with the swing voters over Kamala Harris on those issues. That's why she ran away from being the quote unquote border czar.
Yeah. So today, Trump is in New York. J.D. Vance is in Pennsylvania. They're both talking economics. Rick Scott, the senator from Florida, and Ron Johnson. And Ron Johnson, senator from Wisconsin, are doing an event at the Trump Hotel in Chicago, all trying to bracket the DNC to get their message out. What could Trump do this week that would be a game changer in terms of trying to reclaim the narrative or disrupt their narrative?
Look, and you think about it. That's what he's going to do. He's going to be talking about issues today. He's talking.
But what could he do? I think he should go to the border. Get a ton of people all show up at the border. I mean, to your point, immigration plays hard.
And no, great minds think alike, Sean. I believe President Trump is going to be going to the border on Thursday. I'm not positive about that, but I'm pretty sure he's going to be going to the border on Thursday, as the Democratic convention is being locked down. I think he's going to North Carolina with J.D. Vance on Wednesday to talk about national security. And I think on Tuesday, he's going to be going to Michigan to talk about crime. And I've been amazed too, again, thinking about the media, and this is what the Democrats want. We've had headlines that we basically have inflation. It's down to around 3%, give or take. And they're saying inflation's over. There's no more inflation problem. And I'm telling you, that's going to be a huge mistake for the Democrats. When I do focus groups and I'm telling swing voters and I'm saying, hey, you know what? It's gone up about 20% since Joe Biden and Kamala Harris took office. The swing voters yell at me. They say it's way higher than that. They don't believe we have 3% inflation right now because you know what? They remember Donald Trump's economy when the inflation rate was only 1.4%.
Yeah, but doesn't it also matter what you're buying, right? So Trump brought this up in his press conference the other day. Overall inflation, maybe 3%, or who cares? But if the things that I buy are at 5, 6, 9%, and frankly, I don't I don't look at inflation the way the government does in terms of statistics. When I walk into the supermarket and I look at a gallon of milk, I go, wait a second, this used to cost this. This is what it, right? It's a sticker shock issue. So you never stop, at least I don't. And I don't go, hey, these eggs were $3 and now they're $4.25. Let me think about what a percentage that is. You just go, holy smokes, that's massive.
Yeah.
And I think for a lot of voters, they don't look at the percent. They
Yeah.
just look at the bottom line and say, this, when I walked out of the supermarket, when my grocery cart used to cost 100. Now it's 125, 150.
Exactly.
Right. And to me, that's where I think politicians miss this. It's so often they're like, the percentage is down. And I'm like, yeah, not when you're looking at the amount that's on the conveyor belt. And you're like, that never used to cost that much.
I tell everybody, I tell all the politicians I work for, if you think inflation is under control, go stand outside a grocery store and talk to the voters you know. You just brought up the price of eggs. Did you know that over the last 4 years, the price of eggs has actually doubled?
I
mean,
don't know.
it's literally, talk about sticker shock. And when voters will tell you now, and they'll say, yeah, the price of gas is too high. It's gone up about $1.50 since Kamala Harris and Joe Biden took over. And it'll definitely get worse, by the way, if God forbid she wins. But when you think what they tell you, the number one thing when it comes to inflation, it's groceries.
I know.
Literally.
But the other thing is, Jim, tell me if I'm wrong here, but I think it's a mindset, right? When I walk in and I see those eggs, right, and I go, wow, if eggs have gone up from, $3 to $5, what else has gone? Like you get into a mindset that everything's got to cost more because, well, if that costs more, then everything has to cost more.
It costs more because it does cost more, and it's real. And like I said, you will see when you start telling them that inflation is under control, they get angry because they know how high prices have gone up over the last couple of years. And the other problem they have is in the wages. Wages have not kept up with it. And they understand that Donald Trump has given out real concrete ideas in terms of how to solve these problems, whether it's energy independence, whether it's fair trade, whether it's lower taxes to put more money in people's pockets, whether it's to cut back on all this crazy spending that caused this inflation. And you know what? The average voter intuitively gets it, that it was a lot of this government spending that caused this kind of inflation. That's why they thought they had like a silver bullet issue when they were talking about, hey, we're going to give everybody free college tuition and we're going to forgive all these loans. And working class Americans are revolting with those kinds of ideas because they get it. At the end of the day, it's going to make things more expensive and going to make things worse, and it's not going to make things better.
Well, if you enjoyed this content, make sure to like this video, subscribe, and click the notification bell to get more.